I had just moved to Silver Pines, Arizona. I thought it would be a good change. I wanted to find unique stories as a freelance journalist. I was 34 and ready to leave the city behind. My new rental had those old adobe walls that looked charming, but I started to wonder if I had made the wrong choice. My first night here, I noticed flickering lights coming from a nearby house. It was late, and I figured it was just a bulb. I shrugged it off, but then I heard muffled voices. I leaned closer to the wall, trying to listen. As soon as I did, everything went quiet. I felt uneasy, but told myself I was just tired, so I went to bed. The next few weeks felt like a blur. Shadows kept darting in my peripheral vision. I'd look to the side, but there was nothing there, just the stillness of the desert. The locals would tell bits of stories, but never all of them. When I asked more about the town, their eyes would shift uncomfortably. It was bizarre. Something felt off. The town had this strange calmness, like it was hiding something deeper. Animals were disappearing too. My neighbor, Mrs. Dahlia, mentioned her cat went missing. She seemed annoyed about it, not sad. I felt sorry for her, but she quickly went back inside like it didn't matter. I started to wonder if people here cared about anything at all. One evening, I stepped outside to breathe some fresh air. I wanted to shake off that uneasy feeling. As I stood there, I spotted something dark moving at the edge of my vision. I turned, but there was nothing, just the desert stretching endlessly before me. My heart started racing. Maybe it was just the wind, but the thought nagged at me that something else was out there. Days passed, and the strange stories I heard took a darker turn. I went to the diner one night, looking to talk to someone. The locals were quiet when I walked in. They watched me with sharp eyes. I felt unwelcome, like they knew something I didn't. I asked about the flickering lights again. The waitress said, "Best not to ask," and walked away. That's when I got it. They were hiding something. A chill ran down my spine. I felt the need to find out what it was. I decided to visit the house with the flickering lights. I knocked on the door, feeling my anxiety build. I listened closely. The muffled voices returned, dancing just below the surface. Then I felt eyes boring into me. I turned around quickly. The street was empty. And then I heard it, a whisper right behind me. "Why are you really here?" I spun around again. No one was there. My breath quickened and my heart pounded in my chest. Why was I questioning my choice to move to Silver Pines? I didn't know. But at that moment, every instinct told me this place was wrong. I took a step back, and I felt like I was on the edge of something terrible. I just didn't know what would happen next. The next morning, I woke up with a sense of dread. It clung to me like a damp blanket. I got out of bed and decided it was time to visit Mrs. Dahlia again. Maybe she knew more than she'd let on about the strange happenings around town. I had to know if anyone else had noticed the flickering lights or the odd whispers. As I approached her house, my heart raced. The sunlight glinted off her front porch, but it didn't make the place feel welcoming. I knocked lightly on her door. I waited, but there was no answer. I knocked again, harder this time, and finally the door creaked open. Mrs. Dahlia stood there, her hair in disarray, eyes narrowing suspiciously. "What do you want?" she asked, her voice harsh and tired. "I wanted to talk to you about your cat," I said, "and the lights at the old house down the street." A shadow flickered across her face. "No one talks about that." "Why not?" I pressed, feeling a sense of urgency. "Just leave it alone," she said, her voice almost a whisper. "It's better that way." I could see a hint of fear in her eyes. I decided not to push her further. I thanked her and stepped back, feeling the weight of her warning. Whatever was going on, it made the locals nervous. Later that day, I returned to my own house. I couldn't shake the feeling that the town held its breath. Something was about to happen, and I needed to be ready. I grabbed my notepad, determined to document everything. Every flicker, every shadow. As the sun set, I decided to head out again. I felt drawn to the house with the flickering lights. This time, I wouldn't just stand there. I would find out what was happening. I walked down the dirt road, each step growing heavier with anticipation. When I reached the house, the lights flickered again, more insistently now. An unsettling chill ran through me, but I pressed on. I stepped onto the porch and knocked. Just like before, I listened for voices. This time, they were louder, but sounded frantic, like a conversation spiraling out of control. Suddenly, there was movement inside. The curtains parted slightly, and I caught a glimpse of a figure. It was a woman, face pale and eyes wide. She looked right at me. I raised my hand to knock again, but she pressed a finger to her lips and shook her head. Then the flickering stopped abruptly. The house went dark, leaving only the faint outline of her figure visible. I felt adrenaline surge through me. I needed to know what she was hiding. I was turning to leave when I heard a low rumble above me. I looked up just in time to see a dark cloud rolling in, where moments before the sky had been clear. Then everything went dark. An inky blackness enveloped the street. I fumbled for my phone, hoping the light could guide me. But the moment I turned it on, a silence fell. Even the wind ceased. That's when I felt it, a presence drawing closer. The air grew heavier around me, and the hair on my arms stood on end. Someone or something was watching. I took a deep breath and whispered into the darkness, "What do you want?" And that's when I heard it. Soft footsteps right behind me. I spun around, my heart pounding. All I could see was darkness. The footsteps stopped, but the feeling of being watched intensified. I barely breathed, hoping whoever or whatever was there didn't notice me. Then I heard a voice, low and eerie. "You shouldn't be here." It echoed in the silence, making my skin crawl. I took a hesitant step back, scanning the shadows for any movement. "Who are you?" I called out, trying to keep my voice steady. "What do you want from me?" No reply came, just the oppressive whisper of the wind returning. I felt my back hit the porch railing, and I knew I had to make a choice. Either grab my phone and make a run for it, or push forward into the unknown. Before I could decide, a bright flash illuminated the area. Lights flickered back on in the house. The woman from before stood there again, her face full of urgency. She gestured for me to come inside, eyes darting around as if she were worried we were being watched. Against my better judgment, I stepped forward. The fear of being outside alone outweighed the dread of entering the house. I wanted answers. "What's going on?" I asked as I crossed the threshold. "Shh," she said, closing the door quietly behind us. "They can hear you." "Who can hear me?" I whispered, glancing around the dimly lit room. The walls were covered in strange symbols. Candles flickered ominously, casting strange shadows. The woman took a deep breath. "There are forces at play in this town, things that should remain hidden. You're asking too many questions. You need to leave." "But I can't just walk away from this," I insisted, urgency lacing my tone. "People are scared. The flickering lights, the whispers, it's all connected. What do you know?" Her face went pale again, and she glanced towards the window. "You need to stop looking for answers. It's not safe for you. I've seen what happens to those who pry too much." Just then, the room grew cold. The shadows shifted, and I felt an unseen presence. My heart raced as I caught a glimpse of something moving in the corner of my eye. I turned, but nothing was there. "What's happening?" I stammered, my voice shaky. "The town isn't what it seems," she continued. "You need to trust me. There's a reason those lights flicker. It's a warning." Before I could react, a loud thud came from the front of the house, rattling the frame. I jumped, and the woman cursed under her breath, her expression shifting to one of panic. "Get down," she hissed. The door burst open. Heavy footsteps thundered inside. A figure loomed in the doorway, silhouetted against the light. I didn't need to see their face to know the danger was real. "Stay where you are," the figure commanded. "This is your last warning." It was a voice I recognized, one I heard often in the town square, but now it was cold and threatening. I felt the weight of fear slam into my chest as I realized just how deep this mystery ran. I had to act, but how? Then I remembered the notepad in my pocket. From the dim light, I could see the woman nod toward the back door. "Go, I'll handle this," she urged. I hesitated, but knew I had no choice. With a final glance at her determined face, I turned and ran for the exit. I darted through the back door, adrenaline surging through my veins. The night air hit my face like a slap, but I didn't stop. I glanced back only once, catching a glimpse of the woman standing tall against the intruder, her expression a mix of fear and resolve. I ran toward the tree line behind the house, the branches scratching at my arms as I pushed through. I could still hear the heavy footsteps from inside, a reminder that danger was close. The shadows danced around me as I stumbled over roots and rocks, desperately searching for a place to hide. Finally, I reached a thicket. I crouched down behind a cluster of bushes, trying to steady my breath. My heart raced wildly, and I strained to hear any sound from the house. I imagined the woman facing that figure, holding her ground while I fled. Guilt churned in my stomach. Just then I heard voices, urgent and low. They were coming from the back door. "Find her!" the commanding voice echoed outside. It made me shiver. "She can't get far. The townspeople will need to be told." I had to gather my thoughts. The mention of the townspeople sent a jolt of urgency through me. This was bigger than just my curiosity. I needed to understand what was happening in this town. I pulled out my notepad, the pages filled with my hasty scrawls about flickering lights and strange occurrences. But amid my notes, something caught my eye. It was a sketch I had made earlier, the symbol I saw on the walls inside the house. I quickly compared my drawing to the symbols in the dark, trying to remember their exact shapes. If I could decode them, maybe I could figure out the warning the woman talked about. A shiver ran down my spine. I couldn't help but think about what this could lead to. Hushed voices grew clearer as I pressed myself deeper into the underbrush. "It's only a matter of time before they turn on us," one voice said, trembling. "We can't keep hiding this forever." "The others will know soon enough," replied the cold voice. I recognized it. It was the same voice from inside the house. My heart raced. Who were the others, and what did they need to prepare for? This was no longer just about flickering lights. It was about survival. Suddenly, a rustling sound came from behind me. I tensed, my instincts screaming that I wasn't alone. I turned slowly, my breath caught in my throat. That's when I saw it. A figure stepped out from the shadows, eyes glinting in the faint light. It wasn't the woman, nor the threatening intruder. It was someone I hadn't seen in years, but had always associated with the town's eerie lore. "Why are you here?" the figure demanded, voice low but oddly familiar. My breath caught and panic surged. I'm just trying to understand what's happening." The figure took a step closer, their expression unreadable in the darkness. "You shouldn't have come back," they warned. "You're in deeper than you realize." Then, everything went dark. I blinked and tried to focus, but nothing was registering. Darkness enveloped me, a heavy blanket smothering any chance of escape. My heart hammered in my chest as I fought to regain my bearings. Was I still behind the thicket? Had I been captured? In the stillness, I strained to hear something, anything. Then flashes of sound flickered through the silence. Low murmurs, footsteps, and the rustle of leaves. They were still near. Panic surged again, and I pushed against the damp ground, my fingers grazing the cool earth, desperate to find a way out. Suddenly, the darkness shifted. A faint light broke through the thick foliage ahead. I squinted, trying to see who or what was there. I slid out of my hiding spot, hoping not to make a sound as I crept closer to the source of the glow. As I reached the edge of the thicket, I peered through the branches. What I saw froze me in place. The figures I had heard earlier were gathered just beyond the clearing. Shadows flickered around them, casting eerie silhouettes against the backdrop of orange light. They stood in a circle, hands raised, and murmured in a language I couldn't comprehend. Symbols glinted on the ground, flickering as if alive. My breath quickened at the sight. It was the same symbols I had sketched from the walls inside the house. I realized I was witnessing something I shouldn't. The chill in the air wrapped around me as I strained to understand. They were preparing for something. A shudder ran down my spine as I thought back to the words I had overheard. The townspeople will need to be told. Before I could process this revelation, something moved behind me. I whipped around, heart racing, as the same figure from earlier stepped into view. "What are you doing?" The voice was harsh now, filled with urgency. I heard you," I stammered, suddenly aware that I had no plan. I don't want any trouble. I just need to understand what's happening." The figure looked back toward the gathering. "You don't know what you're asking for. You must leave before it's too late." "Late for what?" My voice came out louder than I intended. What were they involved in, and why was I mixed up in it? "Shh," they hissed, glancing nervously at the circle. "They'll hear you. You have to trust me." I hesitated, doubt creeping in. But just then, a loud clash erupted from the group. The murmurings turned into shouts, and the light grew brighter, revealing more of the symbols that now painted the air with an ominous glow. I turned back to the figure. "What do we do?" "Run," they said, urgency etched on their face. "Now." Before I could register their words, they grabbed my arm and we bolted from the thicket. The branches snatched at my clothes, but adrenaline pushed me forward. I could hear the voices behind us rising in anger. As we broke free from the trees, I spotted the house just ahead, but something was wrong. The door swung open, revealing a silhouette that sent a jolt of fear through me. I recognized the woman from earlier. Then I realized a new threat was bearing down on us. The intruder was out there and not far behind. "Keep running," the figure shouted. But when I looked back, I saw the others, shadows stretching towards us, eyes gleaming in the darkness. Fear gripped my chest. How deep had I gotten into this nightmare? I felt like everything was spiraling out of control, and I was just a pawn in a game I couldn't even begin to understand. The ground rushed beneath my feet as I sprinted toward the house. My lungs burned with every breath, and I could hear the footsteps behind us growing louder. The figure beside me tugged me onward, their grip unyielding. I glanced back to see dark forms closing in, their murmurs merging into a cacophony of rage. We reached the porch just as the door swung open wider. The woman stood there, her expression a mask of confusion and alarm. "What's going on?" she asked, but there was no time to respond. My companion pushed me inside, and I stumbled across the threshold. The door slammed shut just as a shadowy figure lunged at it, pounding hard against the wood. I turned to the woman. "They're coming!" I gasped, heart racing. But it was clear she didn't understand the gravity of what we had witnessed. "Who is they?" she asked, eyeing my companion suspiciously. I had no answer. The reality was too bizarre, too incomprehensible. "Look, we don't have time," my companion snapped, voice rising. "We need to barricade the door." With trembling hands, I rushed to help. We shoved a nearby table against the door, our hearts pounding in rhythm. The sounds outside grew frantic, yelling, crashing, chanting. It was chaos. I could feel a chill creeping into the air, as if the darkness was wrapping around the house itself. I backed away from the door, pressing against the wall as fear washed over me. "What did you see?" the woman asked, determination cutting through the fear in her eyes. I hesitated, then recounted everything. The figures, the symbols, the murmurs. Her expression shifted from confusion to something deeper. Was it dread? "They think you've seen too much," she whispered, fear heavy in her voice. Before I could respond, a loud thud echoed through the house. The door creaked as the table buckled under pressure. "We need to get out of here," my companion urged, glancing at the windows. "They'll find a way in." "Where do we go?" I asked, panic settling in my chest. The house felt like a trap, and I had no idea how to escape the threats outside. "Downstairs," the woman said, her voice steady. "There's a crawl space." She motioned toward the hallway that led to the back. Just then, the door shuddered violently, splinters flying as the table began to give way. "Now!" my companion yelled. We scrambled towards the hallway, hearts racing. The woman led us to a small door at the end, her hands fumbling with the lock. As we ducked down into the darkness below, I heard a deafening crash above. The eerie chant burst through, now louder, more chaotic, as they found their way inside the house. I had no idea if it was too late to escape, or if we would find out what they were truly after. In the pitch black of the crawl space, I held my breath, listening for the sounds above, wondering if I had made a grave mistake in following the figure. Then a cold realization struck me. If they were searching for me and ready to confront whoever else was in the house, I had unwittingly stepped into something far more dangerous than I could understand. The air felt heavy, thick with fear. I could almost feel the cold fingers of the past creeping closer, pressing in on me. It was then that I understood. We weren't just hiding from them. We were hiding from the truth itself. The darkness pressed tightly around us in the crawl space, the air stale and suffocating. I could barely hear my own breath over the distant sounds of chaos above. It felt like the world had warped into something menacing, and I couldn't shake the feeling that it wasn't just the chanting I feared. It was what it represented. The woman turned to me, her eyes wide. "Listen," she whispered, urgency creeping into her voice. "We need to be quiet. If they find us, we won't stand a chance." I nodded, but my heart raced with anxiety. What were we hiding from? My companion crouched near the entrance, straining to hear. I couldn't do the same. Instead, I glanced around in the dim light, searching for anything that could offer a clue. The crawlspace walls seemed to close in tighter as the chanting grew louder, punctuated by angry shouts and the occasional crash. I wanted to scream, to run, but all I could do was clamp my hands over my mouth. "I think they're looking for someone specific," my companion said, breaking the silence, "and we might have just stumbled into something we can't understand." The woman and I exchanged worried glances. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. He glanced back toward the entrance, as if someone might be listening. "I saw a symbol on one of them, a mark of ritual. Whatever they're after, it's tied to that." The mention of a symbol sent a jolt through my memory, pulling me back to the images of the figures we had seen. I could recall those shapes and markings, the way they glowed ominously even in the dark. My heart sank. Could it be that their hunt was directly tied to what I had witnessed? Suddenly, a loud crack echoed through the house, and dust fell from above. I held my breath, frozen in fear. The sound of footsteps approached the crawlspace entrance. My chest tightened as I realized we might be discovered. "Shh," the woman hissed, taking my arm tightly. "Don't make a sound." The footsteps moved closer, then stopped. "They're here," my companion murmured, eyes locked on the doorway. I strained to see through the darkness, but it was impossible to make out anything outside our refuge. I felt a shiver run down my spine as something shifted above, a voice calling out, low and sinister. "They're here. Find them." My heart sank further. What did they mean by them? Then a chilling sound came, sharp and clear, metal scraping against wood. I turned to my companions, and they were as wide-eyed as I felt. "They're trying to get in," I whispered, panic racing through me. In that moment, I recalled something my father had said about the town's folklore, things that had been whispering in the dark since long before I was born. Legends about hidden truths and sacrifices made in shadowy corners. That's when I saw it. A small, dimly lit object glinting on the far wall of the crawlspace. It was a pendant, intricately carved, with a symbol I vaguely recognized from my memory. I reached for it, desperate to understand what it meant, to uncover whatever truth was circling in the dark. But just as my fingers grazed its surface, another force struck above with a deafening crash, and I realized the chaos wasn't just above us anymore. It was coming for us. The noise above us grew louder, accompanied by frantic shouts and the sound of something heavy being dragged across the floor. I pulled my hand away from the pendant and glanced at my companions, their faces stark with fear. "We have to move," my companion whispered urgently. "Now." I didn't want to leave the pendant behind, but the noise was too dire. I nodded, the sound of my own heartbeat pounding in my ears. We sketched a quick plan, a single file, low to the ground and quiet. The woman led the way, and my companion went last, keeping an eye on the entrance. We crawled deeper into the dark, and every inch felt like a mile. I could hear muffled voices now, distant but growing closer. How could we slip past? What if they were right above us? My thoughts raced, my mind grappling with panic. I focused on the dirt beneath my palms, reminding myself to breathe. Suddenly, my companion paused. "Wait," he whispered, his voice a mere breath. I did too, feeling tension settle around us like a weight. His flashlight flickered, illuminating a narrow gap in the wall. "I think we can get through there," he said, motioning toward the opening. "Is there another way out?" the woman asked, doubt creeping into her tone. The sound of more footsteps reached us, directed and purposeful. It was clear they were close. "No time," he replied firmly. We had to risk it. We squirmed into the gap, which was tight and cold. I could feel rough wood scraping against my forearms, sending shivers up my spine. Then, as I was about to pull my body through, the pendant slipped from my pocket and fell into the darkness. My heart sank as I heard it clatter somewhere just out of reach. "I can't leave it," I gasped. "Keep moving," my companion urged, looking back at me. The footsteps were dangerously close now. I bit my lip, torn between retrieving the pendant and escaping. But a moment later, a shout echoed from above. "They went this way!" I lunged into the gap, forcing the panic aside. The tunnel opened into a narrow hallway, the air cooler but still thick with tension. I crawled quickly, adrenaline kicking in. The hallway twisted and turned, and I could see light flickering at the end. Each moment felt critical. I urged my legs to move faster, my heart racing. The woman was already ahead, making her way toward the crimson light illuminating the far end. My companion followed closely, his expression strained with urgency. Then, as we approached the exit, I heard shouting again, more aggressive. "We have to hurry!" he barked. Just then, the walls seemed to tremble. I felt a rumble pass beneath us, sending dust cascading down from the ceiling above. I flinched, a clash of screams and distorted chants ringing louder and closer. Something was breaking through. They were coming for us. As we prepared to burst into the light, the air shifted. Something flickered just above the entrance, casting eerie shadows against the walls. It was a figure, silhouetted against the brightness, moving rhythmically as it chanted, a mockery of a dance, beckoning us toward the unknown. In one last desperate attempt, I pushed myself through the opening ahead. I had to escape, but the true horror of what was waiting on the other side filled me with dread. I stumbled out into the chaos, my instincts screaming that we had made a mistake. Whatever awaited us had just begun. The light hit me like a tidal wave, blinding in its intensity. I squinted, trying to piece together my surroundings. I was outside, but in a place I didn't recognize. The door to the hallway I emerged from had vanished, replaced by thick trees that swayed ominously in the wind. My companions were beside me, panting and wide-eyed. "Where are we?" the woman asked, her voice trembling. "I don't know," I managed to say, trying to get my bearings. The only sound was the rustling of leaves and the distant echo of shouts still searching for us. Anxiety settled in my chest. My companion walked a few steps ahead, scanning the area. "We need to move further away from that place," he urged. "They'll regroup and send people after us." As we ventured deeper into the woods, the mood shifted. Trees loomed high above, their branches curling like skeletal fingers. The ground was uneven, and I stumbled, catching myself just in time. The fleeting light from where we'd come flashed through the trees, but it felt like a bad memory. Then I spotted something on the ground. It was a small, scattered pile of stones arranged in a circle, each one smudged with dark stains. My stomach churned. "What is this?" I asked, kneeling closer. "Some kind of ritual," my companion replied, his voice grim. "We need to keep moving. This place feels wrong." He was right, yet I found myself lingering for just a moment longer. There was something oddly familiar about the stones, like they were calling out to me. Suddenly, a snap of a twig echoed through the silence. We froze, adrenaline spiking through my veins. I turned, scanning the shadows, feeling like we were being watched. "Did you hear that?" the woman whispered, her face pale. Before I could respond, a shadow shifted behind a tree. A figure stepped out into the dim light. My breath caught in my throat. The person appeared disheveled, dirt covering their clothes and wild hair falling over their eyes. But it was the look on their face, one of desperate urgency, that set alarm bells off in my head. "Get away! You shouldn't be here!" they shouted, taking a step closer. "It's not safe! They'll come for you!" I wanted to ask what they meant, but my instincts warned me against lingering. I exchanged glances with my companions, and something unspoken passed between us. My companion took a hesitant step forward. "Who are you?" he demanded. "They'll know what you did!" the figure shrieked, their voice rising. "You need to leave now, before they find you!" I felt a wave of panic crash over me. We had just escaped one terror, and now we faced another stranger, warning us of impending doom. I took a hesitant step back, my heart hammering. Then the trees around us seemed to tremble, an unnatural wind whipping through the branches. The shouting became louder, echoing like a chorus of madness. "Run!" my companion yelled, grabbing my arm and pulling me away from the figure. I didn't argue. We plunged deeper into the woods, the dark closing in around us. But as we ran, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was following us, lurking just out of sight. We stumbled into a small clearing, and that's when I saw it. A massive stone, intricately carved, pulsating with a dim red light. Figures danced around it in the shadows, their movements eerie and inhuman. What had we stumbled into? "Keep moving," my companion shouted, but it was too late. The dancing figures turned their faces toward us, and the air grew thick with their haunting chants. I felt a chill crawl up my spine. Someone was there, watching, and whatever it wasn't going to let us escape. As we stood there, paralyzed by fear, a surge of adrenaline drove me into motion. I didn't want to see what would happen next. "Run!" I yelled, and my voice broke the spell. The three of us turned to sprint back into the maze of trees. The chanting soon followed, echoing among the branches, growing louder with each step we took. We raced through the underbrush, branches clawing at my clothes and skin. My companions were right beside me, but I couldn't help glancing back. Shadows seemed to flicker through the trees, figures darting among the trunks, their movements unnatural and disturbing. "Where do we go?" I shouted over the shouts and whispers winding their way through the forest. My heart was a thunderous drum in my chest. "There!" My companion pointed to a dimly lit path ahead that curled away from the chaos behind us. Without a second thought, we turned and pushed onward. The path wound deeper into the forest, and as we moved farther from the stone, the chanting faded into the distance. The air felt heavier, saturated with secrets. Each step pulled us further into an abyss of uncertainty. After what felt like an eternity, we stumbled into a clearing. Moonlight filtered down through an opening in the trees, illuminating a flat-topped rock covered in more of those strange symbols. I could feel it there, the presence of old power, ancient whispers woven into the very earth beneath our feet. Something about it called to me, and I fought the urge to take a step closer. "Is this a safe place?" the woman whispered, fear reflected in her eyes. "What if they find us?" My companion shook his head, trying to catch his breath. "I don't know," I managed, "but we can't keep running forever." Before we could dwell on our next move, the sound of breaking branches drew our attention back to the edge of the clearing. Dark shapes seeped into view, emerging from the shadows of the trees. It was them, the figures from before. No longer just dancers, they now looked sinister, resolute in their purpose. "We can't stay here," I urged, panic flaring up inside me. "Look," my companion pointed toward the stone. "Maybe it's a way out." His suggestion sent a thrill of fear through me. I didn't want to interact with whatever energy pulsed in that rock. But before I could protest, the chanting returned, quickening as the figures edged closer. "We need to decide right now," my companion urged. "It's them or us." It was a choice I didn't want to make, but as the shadows moved nearer, we felt the tightening grip around our throats, our breaths quickening in response to the danger. "On three," I said, heart racing. "1, 2, 3. We moved toward the stone, each step heavy with fear. As we reached it, I glanced back to see the figures drawing nearer, their limbs moving smoothly, almost detached from human form. As I reached out toward the surface of the pulsating rock, I felt a rush of energy surging through me. A brief moment of clarity washed over my mind. I felt connected to something incomprehensible, an understanding of the darkness surrounding Silver Pines. "Touch it!" my companion shouted, urgency filling his voice. With shaking hands, I pressed against the stone. Instantly, warmth spread through me, intertwining with the chilling fear that clung to my bones. I heard whispers, soft sighs and gasps, like sentient memories trapped in a cycle of darkness. The shadowy figures stopped short. Their chants faltered, faces twisting in confusion. The energy surged again, stronger now, wrapping me in something protective, something ancient. Then I saw it, visions flashing before me. The town's history, the bones of fears long buried, sacrifices made to keep the balance. I gasped, pulling away suddenly as clarity shattered like glass. "We have to go," I yelled, breaking the spell, and we turned to flee again as the figures trailed behind us, their chants amplifying with fury. We darted back through the maze of trees, adrenaline propelling us farther away. The shadows couldn't follow us without the stone, I realized. Somehow, we had disrupted their power. We had a chance. But as we neared the edge of the woods, I felt the weight of uncertainty settle in my gut. Would this really end it? Would we be free? Emerging from the shadows and into the moonlight, we took one last look back at the forest. Nothing could hide the fact we had stumbled deep into forces beyond our comprehension. In the far distance, the echoes of chanting faded. Tension slipped away, only to be replaced by lingering anxiety. I still didn't know if what had happened was just a haunting or a taste of the truth. For days after, I stayed away from Silver Pines. I distanced myself from the mountains and whispers. But sometimes, late at night, I would hear echoes of voices carried on the wind, and I would wonder if it was over, or if the darkness had simply retreated to wait for another curious soul.